In this video, we're going to be installing the latest stable release of LunarVim. So to get started, you can head over to lunarvim.org and click on the install button here, or you can head over to the docs and it'll take you right to the installation instructions. Now we are going to be installing the release version of LunarVim, so make sure you have the version of NeoVim that's specified here installed. In this case, it's going to be NeoVim 0.8. But that's subject to change as NeoVim releases new stable versions. We're always going to be targeting the latest stable release version of NeoVim. Also, make sure you go through this prerequisites section here. You're going to want to have specifically pip, npm, and cargo installed if you want to have LunarVim install some of the additional NeoVim dependencies that LunarVim kind of depends on. You can install them yourself, and LunarVim will only install them if you ask it to. But yeah, so make sure you just have those installed if you want to do it that way. So we're going to copy this command right here and head over to a terminal, paste it in, and you'll always be able to see what version of LunarVim you're going to be installing and what version of NeoVim it's compatible with by just taking a look at this branch information right here. All right, so I'm going to press enter. I'm going to be greeted with the LunarVim installation or the LunarVim installer. And it's going to ask to install some additional NeoVim dependencies. So those dependencies are NeoVim, the NeoVim node client, and I'm going to leave a link in the description to all of these dependencies so you know what you're installing on your system here if you do choose to have LunarVim install them for you. Treesitter CLI, PyNVim, ripgrep, and fdfind. Okay. So by default, LunarVim isn't going to install these for you, so if you just press enter, it's not going to install them. But if you do want LunarVim to install them, you can press Y and press enter. Now, I already have all of these installed, so I'm just going to press enter for the Node.js dependencies, enter for the Python dependencies, and enter for the Rust dependencies. All right, and so now just give it maybe, I don't know, around 20 or 30 seconds to get itself installed and set up. And once it's done, you can take a look at these last two lines here. So one of them is going to be about a font, and the other one is going to be about actually running LunarVim itself. Now, where we put the lvim executable, so you are going to be starting LunarVim with the command lvim, we put that in .home, your username, .local bin. So let's make sure you have this added to your path. So let's open up our Z shell RC if you're using Z shell, or you can open up your bash RC if you're using bash. So now that we have our Z shell RC open up, just make sure you have a line that looks like this here. It says export path $home.local bin, and then that's just going to prepend to your path variable here. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to run lvim from anywhere in your terminal. All right, and once you're done with that, you can click on this link here and get yourself a nerd font. Basically, this is just like a terminal font with icons that you can use. So if we go take a look at some of these icons here, all of these icons are just bundled with any of the fonts you can install from here. I will do a video later on showing you how to install a nerd font, but if you already have one installed or you're wondering why maybe some of the icons look a little messed up, the reason is you need a nerd font. All right. So once you have all that done, we can start up LunarVim by typing lvim. All right, and it should start up and install a few different treesitter parsers for you. This is for things like syntax highlighting and stuff, just for some common languages, but you can change this and only install the ones that you want or all of them if you want later on. I'm not going to go through all of the different things on the dashboard here, but they're pretty self-explanatory, like finding a file, creating a new file, going through some projects and things like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go open up the configuration. So you can go all the way to the bottom and press enter, or you can just press C, and that's going to open up this config.lua file. Now, I'm not going to go over everything in this config.lua file because this video is just going to be for installing LunarVim. But later on, I'm going to do a video for pretty much everything we can do with LunarVim, whether it be setting key bindings, changing the color scheme, setting up language servers, setting up syntax highlighting, installing new plugins, and everything else, okay? So this file just shows you how to do some of that stuff, so we can kind of scroll through it here, and you can see, you know, there's about close to 200 lines that just show you different configuration options and stuff. You can delete everything in this file and start from scratch if you want, but this is just going to show you how to do things like set up format on save or change the color scheme, change different keybinds and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to exit out of this file. Like I said, we're going to be doing different configuration videos later on in this series. Okay, but I'm going to show you where LunarVim's installed, and I also want to make a note that you can still have NeoVim installed, well, you can still use your regular NeoVim config. So if we go into .config lvim, that's where your config is going to be, and so we can open this with lvim config, okay, and you can see that we have it opened up in LunarVim right now, or we can open it up in NeoVim, because you still have your regular NeoVim and you can still have your NeoVim config, and we won't touch that at all. None of the plugins will clash or anything like that. So you can still use your NeoVim and still have LunarVim as well. So I figured I would make that note just because I think it's pretty important, and it's kind of what sets LunarVim apart from a lot of other NeoVim distributions. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's installing. Later on, I'm going to show you how to use LunarVim, set keybinds, set options, install plugins, and all that kind of stuff later on this series. So look forward to that. All right, so let's head over here. Again, you can go to lunarvim.org for more documentation. So if you don't want to wait for all the videos to come out, or you don't feel like watching all of the videos, you can head over to the docs and read about more of how to configure all of it yourself. You can also head over to the different social medias that we have over here. Specifically, I recommend you join the Discord or the Matrix, and you can get help over there. Or you can head over to GitHub, put an issue in or a pull request, or anything like that. All right, so that's pretty much it for installing LunarVim. Now, you can also check out my website, which is chris@machine.com. You can check out LunarVim over at our GitHub page, and if you're enjoying the content, you can support me over on Patreon, or you can support me on GitHub sponsors. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.